Okay, it's 5 o'clock. I'll call the meeting of the Iowa City Public Library Board of Trustees to order. First on our agenda is approval of the March 26th or tonight's board meeting agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Bonnie.
Second
by John. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carried. Is there anyone in the public wants to address us? Doesn't appear that way. Before we start in on the meeting, I want to introduce our newest trustee, Katie Christie. It's very nice to have you on board. Do you need us to go around and introduce ourselves?
That would be great.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, I would appreciate it.
So I go with
You're
Clear.
up.
I'm John Rayburn, and I've been on for 6 years. So,
I'm Claire Matthews. I've been here for, I don't know, 3, 4 years, I think. No, sorry, I'm like barely scraping that. Nice to meet you.
I've been on the board since September.
I'm Joseph Massa. I think this is my 5th year, maybe. Yeah.
Hi, Katie. I'm Bonnie Bootroy. This is my 2nd year on the board.
I'm Corey Schweigel Skiers, and I've been on the board since June.
And I'm Ann Mangana, Library Director.
Yeah. Staff member too.
Yeah.
Melody.
Yeah, let me make too.
Oh, thanks. Oh, yeah.
Joanna, we're administrative.
Sure, and collection services coordinator.
Angie Pleasanton, children's coordinator.
I'm Jason Paulus, adult services coordinator.
I'm Katie Roche. I'm the development director for the Iowa City Public Library Funds Foundation, and I run the development office for the library. I'm Cindy Lick with the City Attorney's Office.
All right. Anyway, welcome.
Thank you.
I hope it's a very nice 5 years for you.
Yes.
5 more years to go. Okay, items for discussion. First thing on our agenda is the City of Iowa City Attorney's Office memorandum that was dated, that we received on March 12th, regarding the February 26th board meeting. Sue is here from the county or the city attorney's office, and so if you have any questions for her, this would be a good time to ask. Or if Sue would like to add anything, that's fine too.
I want to ask about the last item you say you want to address, and I think you have it backwards. It says you have it saying a bylaw which states that notice of regular meetings shall not be required, but in fact it will be required.
I guess I'm not understanding your question, so
Beg your pardon?
I'm not understanding the question. I
The
apologize.
question is, I don't understand what this means, this last item that you say, the last item you want to consider.
Your bylaws have a provision that says notice is not required, but that's
And they distinctly say they are required. Look at that same section. And
I don't have the bylaws with me.
well, I have them here.
Okay.
Um,
I apologize.
you see,
That's a red line version. I would like to see a clean copy of the current bylaws. I'm sorry, I didn't bring a copy. Angie, that's, get one.
We would talk about. I remember talking about the inclusion or not inclusion of the 5 PM on the
Yeah, I understand, but that's a red line version. I'm looking for the current bylaws. These are not the current bylaws. This is a red line version.
this is the one we have, and so.
I should have brought my own copy. I apologize. Like everybody here, I didn't realize there's no. Hello, over there.
This is 5-4.
Yeah.
That's probably just easy if you just keep it right down here. So it says here. It says, notice of regular meeting shall not be required. That's what it says.
But what we have here is required. How can these be?
Oh, because shall not is the current one. And that's, we took that out. Where are we looking at shall, because it's in red line right now. Is the shall not. At least on here, wherever I was just looking for section 4, 5, 4.
I mean, it's not crossed out.
The shall not be required is the crossed out part. This is our current.
Is required.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was
that
we
was the
approved
recommended
this.
change.
Yeah.
For tonight.
Which might be helpful to see the very version.
Okay. So these are not in agreement with one another.
Well, the 3-ring binder are the current bylaws approved by the board at some point in time and approved by city council. My understanding is what you have before you in the red line version are some potential changes that for which you were going to discuss.
Right, and we thought we had done it last month. And I was the person, one of the people that wrote these bylaws. We definitely said these are required to have notice.
The bylaws have not yet been amended, sir.
But these bylaws are defunct. I mean,
No, they're not. No, they are not.
we thought they were defunct.
Well, your bylaws do not get changed until city council approves them. And so any board or commission, when they want to make an amendment to, be it planning and zoning, HCDC, they propose amendments, they get approved by the local board or commission, then they go before the city council. Yeah.
As a semi-autonomous board,
You don't do that? They don't go
No,
before the
they
city
don't go
council?
through the
Okay,
city council.
okay. Then I apologize for that. So I don't, if you, whatever you did at your last meeting does not legally exist.
I understand that, but
So,
okay.
So I think the city attorney was just wanting us to make sure that in the
Right.
revised copy
Right.
that we end up approving,
Right.
that it has the language that's
Right.
compliant.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That whether it counts or not, that's what we approved last month. I mean, that was certainly
Sure, I understand that that's what you meant to do, but legally, no meeting occurred last month, so. So
Right.
these, what in front of you in the 3-ring binder remains the board's bylaws.
yeah.
But you can certainly, I'm guessing, I know they're on your agenda tonight, you'll have a discussion and you'll make your changes, probably each item, I don't know how far you are in the discussions, if you went through all the red line versions, but whatever it is, you'll make a motion and the majority will rule tonight. And you'll be off to the races. And I apologize that you don't have to go through the second step because yes, you're you're semi-autonomous. I mean, it's a separate legal entity. The board is unlike the others. So I apologize for that.
Just, is it true that we just say notice of regular and special meetings is required, but we don't have to actually say at 5 p.m. on the 4th Thursday of the month
No.
and these dates? Okay, so
No,
we don't
no.
have to actually
No.
give the time and date.
No,
We
no.
just have to say that notice will happen, right? Okay. We had talked about that for a short
It's
amount of
just-
time on one of the times we talked about.
Right,
it.
just
I
just
like
thinking
it.
in terms of a regular meeting versus a special meeting. The
Gotcha.
regular meeting is this meeting.
Perfect. Yeah, that
Any
makes
other time, it's called a special meeting.
sense.
Those are just terms of art. So,
Okay.
is there any other?
Any other questions?
You're right. I apologize for the hiccup that occurred.
So let's be legal.
Things occur. Board's information.
Let's be legal.
So,
Excellent.
and obviously, we all want notice to the media, so.
Yeah, great. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
Oh, yeah,
Really
sorry.
appreciate you
Yeah,
being
and
here.
I apologize for the confusion that was out there.
Thanks. So.
Yeah, bye-bye.
I am very sorry for not failing to send the notice through the press release. And if you saw how it was like just basically checking an extra box. And we didn't do that. And uh, we now have that as a part of the checklist to make sure this is on our catalog and or on our calendars, and several of us have that. So I am very sorry. So we got a lot of work done at that last board meeting, and I apologize.
Okay, next item is the continuing education portion on digital collection management. Melody, you have the floor.
So we have a video link that is in the board packet. It's slightly adjusted version of what I did in February. It is cleaner in some ways, but less conversational in others because you're recording a video and you're like, just get this pain over with. At least that's how I am. So yes, I'm here for questions about what was written in the board packet. Open to any questions on digital collections. The gist, as we discussed, or as it is discussed in the board packet, is that we find that digital collections spending can feel like almost runaway train. How do we kind of feel like we're kind of getting our power back and deciding how to make sure there's value to the community for the things that we spend money on. So it's a formula that has been working for us. And I want to also emphasize that it's just one portion of the budget. Like with taking into preferences of our readership, like we have people who really prefer some books in print. And so it's like we're still going to invest in those print books for the audience that wants them in print. And I know I didn't say that last time. It's like you were only talking about, numbers and like hard if then statements. And it's like, no, it's one portion of the bigger picture. And we want to serve our entire community. I think future directions for this is, if we consider how we can take what we've learned and apply that to specific cost per cert projects, and just think of like, can we partner with programs and carve out special budget money so that we can use, we can match what the power of instant access is to support programs and, connecting our community together over reading. That's a future project idea. Or just if we have, a gift, we can say we want to make sure, like say it's Halloween. We had a donor who loves Halloween. Can we put all these spooky books out and have just everyone enjoy that season? So I think that's kind of where this work might be headed in the future. What questions might you have about anything digital related is up for grabs.
A shout out for saving $26,000. That's no chump change. That was a good move on your part.
Yes, and I'm going to give the publisher some credit for giving us more acceptable terms that we can go for. Like we can now buy, like if we're not sure if a book is going to be really popular, instead of buying it at 2 years, we can buy it for half the cost for 1 year. If we have holds shoot up, we can duplicate that right away. So where we used to have one when the model was only a 2-year license model, out of the 1-year model, we can buy twice as much and serve twice as many people. So it's just kind of like now we're playing the game.
Gave you
whereas-
the system.
I mean, before it just felt like we just have to do what they want us to do. And it's like, no, we can say, this money is worth this to us. And just kind of be more responsive to what our readers want.
I'm just gonna ask, have you shared this model with anyone else, like corridor libraries or anyone? Because this sounds like an ILA presentation to
I
me,
mean,
and
it's
like,
helpful. Yeah.
like I think other libraries would really benefit from this idea. If
Yeah.
you're willing to share it.
I mean, definitely. I
It
think
sounds like a PLA
things
session.
that are good for our library are going to be good for other libraries.
Any other questions for Melody?
All right.
All right, thank you.
And I'm always available by email or send me the info desk if you have other questions. So thank you.
Next item is the bylaws for the Board of Trustees. Is there any discussion regarding the bylaws that has not already been previously discussed that you'd like to bring up?
I don't think we came to a definitive conclusion on how we were going to describe the monthly meetings, where we're going to name a time and a day as we presently do, or where we're going to leave it in some sense more open
Right,
to ad hoc decisions.
right. That was kind of left in the air, I think, at the last meeting. Or whatever that was.
Right now, it says the amendment is an annual meeting schedule may be designated by the board for regular meetings. Don't use it. For instance, I mean, it's flexibility. Who the board is.
I think that by not including that, it seemed from the last discussion, there was the idea that having a set time, kind of codified, set time and date, would be beneficial to board members and even potential board members who might have children or have to arrange for childcare or have issues maybe at work, where having a set time at least is beneficial, where your boss or whoever knows that, okay, at this time, so-and-so is going to be leaving work and that's okay. Or having childcare that, is pretty consistent, because sometimes that's hard to arrange. I think that was probably the big concern. And if there were any potential board members, somebody in the public who might want to serve on our board, that, is kind of having a good idea of when that, this board is going to meet would be convenient for them. Also in their planning and in their decision on whether they could serve.
And I think with taking the specification out of the bylaws, the intent is still that, they would be predictable and posted and available. It's just whether should we change it? Does that have to go through approving a change to the bylaw or changing the calendar?
I think our discussion, I remember there was a statement like, if I'm looking for the annual meeting or the regular meeting time, I wouldn't look to the bylaw to define that. So, and also, like you said, do we have to change the bylaws? Should we decide to change the time and date? Right.
And yeah, it does.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Sorry. Okay, go ahead.
I'm personally for keeping it shorter, and just taking out that time and date, because it's on the website, it's on the city site. We have to send notice 24 hours in advance and all of those things. So I feel like you can find the date and time. Also, it hasn't changed in
Eons. Yeah.
in a good long while. So, feel like that's accessible information without having it be a piece of our bylaws.
And yeah,
In my, yeah.
yeah, sorry, I keep on.
No, go ahead, you go for it.
But yeah, I do think there would be some follow-up, to make sure that we do have it posted somewhere, however we decide, and even if it's, like on the website alongside the bylaws, and we can even, if we wanted to approve the calendar as what's written here, but having it, a non-mandated vote, board meeting vote to make a change to that, just to have that potential flexibility.
I'm wondering, as it's written now, it says an annual meeting schedule may be designated by the board. Should that be a shall is one of my questions. And the second question is, by when? I mean, by what point in time does the board need to designate the meeting schedule for the coming year? I think without some parameters around that, that could become just sort of an optional thing that gets lost.
Fiscal year sounds to me like the time when you would want to do it and do it for a year at a time, not for a monthly is a,
Right.
We don't want to have to address this issue every month.
Exactly.
Yeah, and similar to like the holiday schedule of just stay regular and if for eons it's still just another agenda item that passes for the fourth Thursday at 5, then great. Then
I just for funsies pulled up the library board page and it's, what is the library board? This is when we meet. And here's the packet. So it's not, probably if I were applying to the board, I would possibly look at the library board page to know what it was about. I feel like that's regularly accessible, but I think fiscal year is correct because that's when our terms are, right? Like that's when a term is up, and so a new board member, if their term was over, would start in the July meeting. So we would probably approve it at that time, in July or June. I don't know which.
I would
July.
wanna,
Like July end of.
yeah, I would think when the new members start is the right time.
Is the right time to do that. July meeting. And maybe we never change it. And maybe it's just a quick vote. Maybe it's just a quick vote.
So the sentence could read, an annual meeting schedule will be designated by the board for regular meetings at the July meeting.
Yeah.
I also wanted to ask that, are we gonna switch back some of the language based on the legal changes about committees and closed meetings?
So, legal recommended to, have right under the meeting schedule, section 3, which is closed meetings of reinstating.
Okay. Of that, re-adding section
5. No.
yes, 5, and what
Okay.
formerly was section 3, and then
And so
reinstating it as section 3.
Okay.
There was also a change that got rid of the nominating committee that we should reverse in Article 4, Section 2, I think. Yes.
I think that's what we were talking about though, the nominating meeting, because we were deciding where that should go to. Because it is in the section with the duties of the president, but then there was also a later section, is that right, about committees?
Well, yeah, but
And
Article 4,
so-
Section 2 is about election of officers. So if the nominating committee is going to be mentioned.
Where is the appropriate place, right?
Because we were talking about Section 4 where it talks about the president doing it, but then that's also in the section on committees. But we probably don't want this sentence, this new sentence in Section 2 that says like, how to figure out what you want to do. Because that was their in recognition of the removal of the nominating committee. I mean, you should probably kind of figure out what you want to do, but there's also a nominating committee.
We only got rid of it because it was going to be problematic because the public had to be invited to the nominating committee's meetings.
And they still do. Yeah, that, it was the evaluation or the interviewing of a library director that those activities could be done in closed session if requested by the person who's either being interviewed or being evaluated. The nominating committee would have to meet in an open meeting. So there's, it could be an ad hoc committee that's created for a specific purpose and then removed. But if it's named in the bylaws as an official committee, it has to be an open meeting.
Okay.
Which we're happy to support as a staff if you want to continue the nominating committee.
Okay. That wasn't my understanding last time, or the time that didn't exist, but I don't know what I don't remember what we decided.
Aren't we back to the anti-status quo on all of this stuff? That the court has thrown the whole thing out?
No, they only addressed the closed sessions for an interview or for an evaluation.
Oh, that's it.
I will say about 15 to 20 years ago, this board did do open committee meetings, and there was some changes in, I think from the state library or from another entity that reinterpreted it a different way. And so most libraries went to having committee meetings being closed because they were not making decisions that for the board, which they still aren't. But the interpretation now is that any decisions that are made by the nominating committee do have influence on decisions made by the board. Or if there's another standing committee, any decisions that are made in those committees, the board will be influenced by, and so they should be open to the public.
So then, I think the question is, do we want to name the nomination committee, knowing that we would have open meetings? And I believe the meeting that was not a meeting in previous discussions with the bylaws, there was some concern that we probably should codify the process just to keep it consistent with changing president, changing board members. So I think that's the trade-off of we keep that consistency with all of the process that comes with that, including open meetings, or do we leave it vague that have the flexibility of those meetings potentially, but also with the trade-off of that it's not necessarily our process and it's not consistent.
People from the public who come to committee meetings can't participate in them, right? They can only view them.
Yeah,
Is that right?
Yeah, there'll be like a public comment period.
I mean, not counting the public comment. So if you had a nominating committee, people could come,
Sure.
But they couldn't participate.
Exactly.
They couldn't say, you're not going to nominate that jerk.
No, they would not be following the meeting guidelines. Yeah, just like here.
But the meeting would require the posting. Those.
Yeah, 24 hours notice.
Yeah.
Minutes.
A minute.
And approval of minutes.
Yeah.
There's a usefulness in having a nominating committee. I mean, it makes the process more sensible, I think, but people, having other non-members of the committee inhibits the committee to some extent.
Right.
You can't say, no, I don't think that person is a very good choice. Right. You don't want to make that a public announcement.
Right. You would have to decide how to say that.
Have to find workarounds to get the same notion before that.
Right.
Yeah.
in the past, the nominations committee has not been an open meeting. Is that correct?
Correct. I would say for the last 20 to 25 years, if you go back to the 70s, I found this when I was looking at the Friends Foundation, they were open meetings and they were, they had minutes attached to them. To the board. The board received the minutes. The minutes were very simple. The slate was decided upon by the, but.
Mhm.
So what's the verdict there? With regard to that committee?
I'm just reading the officer, it's in section 4, or article 4, section 2. We struck 1. And then we have a change. Then like, do you strike 1 if you have the other? They both have to be in there. Anticipating. It just says in February, the president shall appoint the nominating committee or present a slate of items.
Yeah, and I think we would do either the change or what is currently.
Either one, right?
I think so. Just, yeah, if we want to, yeah, specify the nominating committee, then we keep what was stricken, but then don't add anything. And if we want to have it ad hoc, then we leave it stricken out and keep the addition. And yeah, I think from previous discussions, and I think, yeah, no, understanding the full context of open meetings, I would be leaning towards keeping what was stricken out and naming it as a nominating committee, just for the sake of consistency, and it's been kind of the process that's worked well from my understanding in the past. And I think, yeah, in this case, I think there's, yeah, more to be gained by codifying that than, for instance, with the calendar instance. I think there's benefits here.
To actually stating the nominating committee.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in favor of that, actually.
So that would say that the nominating committee presents a slate of officers at the April meeting. Do we need to address the fact that this is a recommendation coming to the entire board? Or can it be interpreted that this is the slate and this is a done deal?
Well, it does say, I mean, the other sentence, other nominations may be presented from the floor.
Right.
So that would be the opportunity for the full board to insert other names. Yeah.
I'll have to stay in then.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Read both sentences. With that also, yeah. Also that anticipating trustees should prepare for it by weighing their preferences, because we still vote on our officers.
Right. Elected. Yeah. So, okay. Thanks.
Okay.
So keep
Yeah, we're gonna keep it all except for the shall and will. Except for the shalls. Everything else will stay in.
Okay, just to be totally clear, the plan is reinstate the deleted language and also keep the introduced language. Aside from the shall will thing, the only thing that I would suggest is not putting in that last sentence because it's redundant with other nominations.
Oh, the nominations will come from, yeah. Okay.
Or we could, well,
One or the other.
one or the other,
Yeah.
right? Actually, the one at the end is talking about the majority board vote part, which is probably good to keep in there. So I would say we should,
Yeah, strike that middle sentence.
yeah, strike that other nomination sentence, but otherwise, Yeah, keep the in February.
Sorry, Anna.
Yeah, sorry.
It's on the notes.
We've
got
Is
it.
everybody okay with that before I cross that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That makes sense.
That makes sense.
Are there any other sections of bylaws that need to be looked at?
I have a super tiny comment. It's just a grammar thing. In Article 1, under the name and purpose, there's two different tenses in that sentence. This organization will be known as the Iowa City Public Library Board of Trustees. And then it should say, and will oversee a free public library for the city of Iowa City, or oversee should be changed to oversee. It can't have will and oversee in there. Because will oversee this does not. It changes nothing about the
It
content.
comes.
It's purely tense.
So that's not a tense
Right.
issue, it's
Okay.
a law. I'm so sorry.
So then should it be two different
Yeah,
sentences?
this was one of the changes that the lawyer recommended, right?
Yes.
So can we
I
split
don't
it
wanna
into two sentences?
change anything that the lawyer recommended, cause then I have to send it back to the lawyer again.
Okay. So couldn't it be two sentences though? Like the organization will be known as the Iowa City Public Library Board of Trustees. This organization oversees. Cause then that makes sense to me.
I mean, that doesn't change anything the lawyer said,
Mhm.
so.
There we go. It's not, I understand not wanting to change what I didn't know the attorney free.
That is totally fair, you had no reason to.
But yeah, no objections to splitting it into two sentences.
Nope.
That is not our first sentence.
Nothing about like what we actually do, but.
Be even stronger with shall be known as.
And we said we're reinstating section 3 already, we talked about that, right?
Oh, the section 4 or article 4, section 3?
Yeah.
The one, okay.
No, Article 5 sections, right?
Yes, so. We can throw in.
Mm.
That's already.
The other conversation we had was about the roles of the president, and I think it's fine as well. I just looked at it again. We had talked about it for a little while, but I think it's good as. Do we have to, since we made these changes, do we have to do this one more time, or can we vote today?
It's up to you.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we can vote today, but we
With
had made
changes.
so many changes last time that we're like, oh, maybe we should see it again, and then now none of them
I don't know,
exist.
we've been on the bylaws for so long, like it feels like it's time to let it
Let it go.
stand, but also like, I know we've made changes each time, so
It's only the 5th month.
it's only a month.
If we don't vote tonight, though, that's gonna
We can't.
kick the nominations to May.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would prefer to get it done
Yeah.
tonight. And I don't have any other notes that I made anyway.
Considering our changes tonight are mostly structural, or like they're not really
Re-complying with the
right.
change to
not-
the change to the law.
Yeah, we're not making like.
You can review what I have, if that means helpful.
Yeah.
So Article 1, Section 1, we have two sentences. So it'll just be changing the second sentence or ending the first sentence at trustees. And then changing the second sentence to this organization oversees a free public library. In Article 4, Section 2, we're going to keep all of the language that's been proposed and we're going to reinstate the sentence that says in February, the president shall appoint. ending at April meeting. And then that one that's crossed out, the other nominations may be presented from the floor. That's remaining removed. And then Article 5, Section 1, we have an annual meeting schedule will be designated by the board for regular meetings at the July meeting. And then we will be reinstating Section 3. Otherwise, all the other red line or blue items and will be adopted.
Okay, we all good with that?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Iowa City Public Library Board of Trustees bylaws as revised.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Congratulations. We're gonna doing the personnel policy next month, so.
This is great.
Next on our agenda is the approval of the library building calendar, the library's building calendar. Any discussion on that?
Just for the record, the same thing I asked last time was, is this taking into account the negotiations with the union?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, it's to put this together. We look at past precedent, we look at our union contract, look at the city calendar, and then we have your hours policy. The management team reviews it as well as the stewards of ASME. And yes, the current contract was taken into consideration.
Excellent.
Or the upcoming contract.
Any other discussion?
Can I make a motion to approve the staff calendar or the building calendar?
Motion made by Claire,
Second.
seconded by Kelsey. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Next up is the review of the Friends Foundation Instruction relationship with Board of Trustees. Sir, and then included in the packet is the bylaws of the Board of Trustees, or the Board Foundation, the Foundation Board of the Friends Foundation. That's a mouthful. Is there any discussion of information? That is great information.
Yeah.
I really appreciate having that information.
Especially I love the chart. I love the chart. That's a great.
It's also now part of board orientation, both for Board of Trustees as well as we added to the Friends Board.
Nice.
Thanks for all the homework that you've done.
Yeah.
Bylaws, are you gonna go through and shall and will? Bylaws shall and will, that's on our next. I noticed that ours are now will and yours are shall.
Okay, next is the report on the integrated library system. I know that was put together by Sam, Brent, and Trevor.
Trevor's here to answer any questions.
So, Trevor, would you like to give us a synopsis?
Sure. The first thing I will say is that at 4 o'clock today, we wrapped up a week of in-person training with everybody. And I think that went very well. Who attended? I think it went well. Everybody, we're adult and children's staff, good. We spent a day going over circulation functions, what our frontline staff are going to see. We spent a day diving in deep on the back end stuff. That was yesterday, and today was catching up on admin stuff. We still have some outstanding questions, but mostly small little tweaks to things just to make sure that starting April 15th, things are going to be as smooth as possible. There's quite a bit of information in that report. Do you guys have any immediate questions or things that I can relay I recommend that to members that communication.
We have good news.
We do, we do. The report that you have before you says that we will be offline for 5 days completely, April 10th through the 15th. In meeting with Bywater Solutions today, we can actually do normal circulation functions through April 12th. So all the way through Sunday, we will not be, we won't have the same backlog.
It's going to be 2 days.
Really nice.
Very excited.
Are you good?
Yeah.
Good, good.
I was nervous about a Saturday and a Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
So, yes,
Yeah.
so we have 3 more days of fully functional.
Great.
Great. Any other questions for Trevor?
Does that mean you will be able to start library cards during that weekend as well?
Through the weekend, yep.
Okay.
So it'll just be Monday and Tuesday that stuff will stop. People will still have access to the digital services, just like we are as well.
Good.
Okay, staff reports. It looks like since we didn't technically meet in February, we have the whole shebang of reports. So I'll start with Ann, the director's report.
Someday it'll be a 1-page report. So I'm happy to answer any questions. We've been doing a lot of administrative policy updates. Our finance policy as well, our purchasing policy, excuse me, and our travel policy now are the cities. That was a lot of work. So thank you to Jennifer and Caitlin. We're in the admin office doing that. I believe next month I'll be able to tell you if the council has adopted the budget. They should be able to tell you. And then hopefully next month you'll also see the agreement with AFSCME.
Oh, I did have a question about the ADA requirements that you mentioned here. I just wanted to be clear. So this is going to, the board packet will include the current policy, the memo, and then the draft policy. Is that going to be in a red line format?
No, unfortunately, screen readers does not take redlining additions or into account. So what it does is it'll read everything that's in there, and if it's stricken through, it won't tell you it's stricken through. And so it would not meet the requirements for ADA. So we're gonna try this out and see if if that way doesn't work for you, we'll find a different way. We've been playing around with how to do comments, or we've done a couple of different things, running them through screen readers and seeing what works. We've tried footnotes. That doesn't work either. So yeah, there was a couple of failed attempts to try to get them, but we want to make sure that the board packet is ADA accessible to, so we'll try this out, and if there's something more that you need from us, we'll try to accommodate that.
Very red line focused.
You need to.
Is there a way to tell a screen reader to skip a section?
We can ask Brent.
Okay, because I would like to still be able to get red lines for me.
And then,
I
yeah,
agree, Kelsey, that's helpful.
and yeah, if it'd be possible, yeah, still do the current plan, but then also have a
I have a red line that the
version
screen reader is told to skip over. That would be ideal for me.
Yeah, add more printing than otherwise, but yeah, cause yeah, I also, really appreciate the red lines, but yeah, wanna have it accessible. And I think, yeah, having both options and then one that's skipped over also, meets the intent of accessibility, makes it fully usable while also keeping that version.
Okay, I look forward to hearing.
Adult services, Jason.
Happy to answer questions. We have a very happy facility services team now. Changes in unit computers. It wasn't expected, sort of gird yourselves for these conversations before enacting, but it's been kind of a no and nothing event out there. So occasionally you'll walk past, and I think the worst lately was like somebody had a banana. And I was like, sir, your banana. But, compared to what we've seen in the past, it's made a big difference, and it's really helped for efficiency of cleaning, and just it will make a difference for longevity on the keyboards for sure. And especially when we get nice new everything out there. Already they've been, I think, 30 of the 40 PCs are the new PCs, and so those are all new, and they're actually up off the counter now, so it'd be hard to get food on those through it. But yeah, things have been good. And you can see the watercolors were a success. Don't judge the art. Those are first time attempts. But it's fun to see people's, the one on the left versus the one on the right. We all have different skills. Abstract.
Thanks, Jason. Children's Services, Angie. Any questions for Angie?
Definitely, that's the plan for summer.
Summer.
Yeah, we sort of locked summer in. This was our week to lock in, so both adult kids are
Right.
those people that I can for very.
Any questions for Trevor on collection services? And we have a community access services report from Sam. We submitted, so if there's any questions, I'm sure Ann can field those. And then you have Brent's IT report.
Just backing up to the community and access, what social media is the library on?
Facebook and Instagram. And
Account too.
I don't think we're posting on it. We just hold it.
Okay. That was it.
Development, Katie.
Is that the Oh, yeah, today is the lead out to read at Nikki's for you catch dinner afterwards. There are flyers for like teachers sitting at your places there. We're feeling pretty good about ticket sales, so we definitely could use a little push in the next couple of weeks to feel like we're gonna, make it to our goal. But that's how it always feels in the last 2 weeks. But don't let that stop you from encouraging your friends and neighbors to buy tickets and come to the event. We have a, $30,000 goal for that event, and we're at about 19,000 right now, which is about where we were at this time last year. We are hearing through the grapevine of fundraising world that this has been a difficult quarter for a lot of nonprofits. Our contributed income has been right on pace and even better than in past years. So we're hopeful that this will be a successful event.
Okay, next we have the president's report. So Robin submitted that. And so since we've approved the bylaws now, we'll have a nominations committee meet before the next board meeting in April. Are there any announcements from members? Foundations committee or the foundation board, advocacy committee?
I'll say the advocacy committee, because I had just had to follow up on Ann's report that several of the library adverse bills did die in the funnel, but have been resurrected as tag-ons to, is it property taxes? No, I'm misspeaking here. Let me
It's
make
a-
sure that I'm looking at the
Related
right
to city health departments.
city departments. So same stuff, different place. So it's still, I mean, they're recommending, legislators, but I mean, our Iowa City rep is incredibly supportive of libraries and is fighting the good fight for us. So, I mean, still, it doesn't hurt to send emails out if you.
I did talk to Eleanor, just to ask, part of the reason that these bills didn't make it to the floor is that the House Speaker did not let them get to the floor. So adding them on as amendments to other bills requires a vote on them, which indicates that these folks are feeling confident that it was worth doing. So, talk to your friends who don't live in Iowa City about how these would be bad amendments to adopt and encourage them to talk to their legislators.
That's not really what we wanted to hear.
I know, I did not want to have to share it either, but do what you can.
Communications, we have all the articles that were included in your board packets. Are there any comments regarding those?
A lot of great press.
Nice articles, yeah. Okay, consent agenda, which is our meeting from January 2026, as well as disbursements for January and February. Any discussion on any of those documents? Okay, can we get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Okay, look at the agenda for April. What are we discussing?
We have a ASME agreement. There'll be that ACE stands for Admin Confidential Employee Handbook. So it's just basically the benefits for the admin that's in response to the ASME contract. You'll have election of officers and appointment to the foundation board. We'll review the confidentiality and privacy policy. That'll be a good one. There's not a lot of changes that we're recommending. So to see how kind of the differences in ADA accessibility are. So we'll and then conversation about the strategic plan, the upcoming strategic plan. And there'll be the third quarter financials and statistics staff reports.
It'll be a full meeting. Yeah. Okay. Anything else you would like to discuss tonight? Okay, we have a motion to adjourn. Okay, those in second, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion has it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.